And good afternoon. Happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. We are basically, under 48 hours? Maybe you could say somewhere in the 40 hour to 36-hour range. No, matter of fact, yeah, it's just after one. So you can basically say 48 hours away from the week 3 main slate. Solid game last night between Bills and Dolphins. This is your boy Grady Fantasy. Let's get right into the preview. Now, when it comes to the top defensive plays, are there options to pay up for? Yes, Green Bay, Seattle, Indianapolis, especially Seattle being at home against New Orleans. 4,800. Obviously, that Green Bay defense is looking amazing at 5,000. It is going against Cleveland. If Michael Parsons and that front seven can put pressure on Joe Flacco, Flacco's still a bit nimble for his age, but he's never been a scrambler. Maybe things could happen in the secondary with interceptions and everything, but there is still some upside for a $5,000, probably looking so far early for the first quarter of the season, what's looking like the best defense in the league. But Seattle, like I said, I definitely underestimated them. They're a lot better. They're not the best, but they're a lot better than what I thought they'll be. And they have the Saints at they have the Saints at home for 48. Indianapolis, whose defense has been pretty solid and okay, 4,700 because they get to go against Tennessee. But this is another section where I'm going to recommend it as if it's the tight end slate. There are currently way more pay down to mid options now that I want to go for when it comes to this defensive slate. So, for instance, Washington's a solid pick, not pay up, but it's still 4,400. Denver's in a tough matchup with the Chargers, but my favorite option, my top play of all is without a doubt Minnesota. Minnesota Vikings at home, that tough defense led by Brian Flores. They have Cincinnati. Now, Cincinnati's not in the worst shape. Jake Browning has been with the team for a while and is a huge sample size. Forget the game that he came in. He can sling that ball, as you can see last week. But the decision making, he basically he appeared in 8 games, but he started 7 in 2023. Joe Burrow got dinged up that year as well. And Browning had 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He has a 3 interception game. He had 300-yard game. So he's going to sling that ball. That ball's going to get up there in the air. He has an arm. Some of the decision making, though, is pretty bad. So does it mean that it's the ultimate best play? No, because if he's slinging the ball and obviously the Minnesota back four can get in the way of some of his passes and take advantage of some of his bad mistakes, somebody like Jake Brown can still get it to Chase. Chase still had an amazing game even after Burrow was gone. Browning does have history with these guys. So, but Minnesota's front seven at home, I really think that they have the ability to take advantage of somebody who's a very, questionable processing when he's back in the pocket and also very aggressive getting the ball down the field. Minnesota has the high upside of a lot of dropbacks from Browning and the ability to either get some sacks or even though Browning is very mobile, to get some sacks, but most importantly, get some interceptions. Interceptions means taking it to the house. When he came in for Burrow, 2 touchdowns but 3 interceptions. So at home against a raucous Minnesota crowd, I definitely like that. That's why this week my favorite play is actually a mid-price defense in the Vikings. The 49ers defense, I don't know. There's just something about Arizona's defense that's just not good. And I think also 49ers can take, because they've been doing okay, but they're not even looking. They're doing good enough to win, even though they almost blew the game against Carolina week 2. But fantasy-wise, it is a very ugly team. I mean, both teams are, but the better defense resides with San Francisco, in my opinion. And I think they can take advantage of a lackluster offense and a quarterback like Kyler Murray, who has running upside, but is inconsistent, but definitely has the ability to make mistakes as well. I think the 49ers defense are a great option as well. If we keep going down, Atlanta's also an option, and any defense against Carolina's an option. Right now, they can't get out their own way, so that's 38. That's still kind of mid-price. And as we keep going down, you could say New England is a possibility. Chargers have a solid defense they're at home against Denver. We're getting to the pay down options now at 35. I can also say the same thing about San Francisco with Mac Jones, but here's the thing: Brock Purdy has said that his foot has progressed real well. So if he plays, it's a bigger upside and it's a more efficient offense. I will play Arizona if Mac Jones is the quarterback, because even I was still able to get 6 to 7 points from the New Orleans Saints when Mac Jones took over. So if Arizona gets Mac Jones, yes. If it's Brock Purdy, then no. But my favorite pay down, even though some people are saying like maybe Jacksonville, New Orleans is on the road, so I'm gonna not go that far. But if anything, some people do think Jacksonville, but like I said, I think it's the Houston defense. I think Houston's defense, even though hasn't been amazing, this is the matchup that you kind of want with Jacksonville. Another underwhelming defense. Like I said, it has its bright spots with its players, but Darryl Stingley will be the shadow. You know, I respect the shadows of people like Stingley, Sauce Gardner, Patrick Surtain, and so on and so forth. So I think Brian Thomas is down for a down day. I think if Christian Kirk, that adds another weapon that keeps the offensive drives going. Keeping the offensive drives keeps the defense fresh. Because right now, besides the bad O-line for Houston, it's a bad D-line for Jacksonville. Not the best offense, so I really think Houston, even though they're on the road, Jacksonville is not a powerhouse. I really think Houston on the road has the ability to get to an underwhelming and so far mediocre playing Trevor Lawrence and maybe be able to pick off a pass here and there, but definitely get a few sacks on Trevor Lawrence. After that, I don't really like anything else pay down. If you want to wing it, Tampa Bay just lost another offensive lineman. Jets defense is horrible, but maybe that's something right there. But after sitting out 2 practices, guess what? Mbuka's playing. He cleared practice earlier this morning. So it's already clear that he's playing Sunday. So in my tight end video, I guess that reduces Otten a bit. So, I mean, that's another option. But around the industry, it seems for those who don't really care about defense, you just need something adequate or decent to fit in other salaries. A lot of people are going no lower than Jacksonville. Cleveland at home. But the thing about Cleveland is they're literally a one-trick pony. A good all-around team effort. Obviously, it's not showing in the fantasy points. And, they gave up 40 just a little while ago. But if they can contend, literally what you're hoping is, like with the Steelers, TJ Watt go crazy, you're looking for Myles Garrett to go crazy. That's how good he is. But with the way the rest of that defense is, if you could subdue Myles Garrett every now and then with a chip block or a single and just go away from Myles Garrett on the run, then Cleveland doesn't really have any shot of getting or frustrating Jordan Love in the pocket. So it's another option there. But for me, I'm going no lower than Houston. I'm not touching the Jets, and no, I'm not interested in the Jaguars. If I need that extra $100 for some reason, maybe I go to Jacksonville. But I'm bordering on Houston. The Chargers could be an option, but I'm staying in the middle area. The Falcons at 38. Tampa Bay at 4,000 is an option, but I do respect Tyrod Taylor to be able to move up and down the ball. And as always, as for years, you don't run against Tampa Bay. They are a pass funnel. So there you go. So it's the mid area there. San Francisco, Minnesota's my top. Like I said, Denver's defense is always something to always consider, especially being 43. They're on the road, though. Washington at home, 44,000. And, yeah, we already know who the top options are, and deservedly so. Green Bay, Seattle, Indy are the top options. So I guess I'm doing this in threes. When you could say Washington right there, 44. But when we get to the mid area, it's Minnesota, San Francisco, and Atlanta at 38. And then when it comes to the pay downs, I mean, I guess you could say New England at home is an option. They are at home, and Pittsburgh after that one amazing game is not on the get right. But like I said, New England definitely, and New England is getting back Christian Gonzalez. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So Metcalf has something to worry about. And New England, because the way they coach, they are very good at the run. So Rodgers going to have to drop back, which means more opportunities for interceptions and sacks. So that's pretty much it. And then, yeah, like I said, I'm going Houston as my number one pay down. That's about it. But that's the defensive preview, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Wide receiver video coming soon in the next hour or so. This is Grade A Fantasy signing off.